Hey y'all, imagine this. A school morning shattered by a physical assault, cops rushing in, body cams rolling, and witnesses everywhere. A teenage girl, her boyfriend, and an entire staff of educators now swept into a case being watched nationwide. Welcome to day 6 of the Washington versus Ali and Ali trial, where we started with raw body cam footage and ended with an assistant principal reliving a hallway horror. The prosecution continued laying bricks in their wall of intent and premeditation. And today, you're getting every detail: witness testimony, law enforcement timelines, court TV commentary, and of course, my take on what this all means for the jury. Buckle up, grab your coffee or your crochet hook. We're diving deep. Before the court proceedings officially began on day 6, the broadcast opened with body cam footage from the day of the incident. This footage was shown by the network as part of their coverage prior to the judge taking the bench, and it was intense. We see the father of one of the victims detained near a school bus. One officer quickly identifies him as the primary aggressor. From there, it's a flurry of commands, officers separating people, trying to keep the scene under control, and getting statements from witnesses who saw what went down. The father demands to speak with his daughter multiple times, but officers deny that request firmly. "You're not speaking to anyone at the moment," one officer tells him. "Let her go," he insists, but the police aren't budging. Officers speak with multiple eyewitnesses. One bystander reportedly tackled the father to the ground after he began assaulting the teens. Several people confirm he had been told not to come to the school, and yet there he was, confronting his daughter and her boyfriend in front of Timberline High School in what officers described as an aggressive altercation. The footage sets the tone for the rest of the day: raw, emotional, and tense. While not presented as evidence in court during this segment, it gives the public a glimpse into what law enforcement walked into that day, and why the charges in this case are as serious as they are. Court kicks off day 6 by bringing Dr. Joyce Gilbert back to the stand to wrap up her testimony from day 5. This is the pediatrician who examined Fatima Ali right after the incident, and we're picking up where we left off with her medical findings. Prosecutors immediately dive back into the clinical details. Dr. Gilbert explains that during her examination, she noted multiple red marks around Fatima's neck and jawline that, in her expert opinion, were consistent with manual strangulation and significant pressure applied by human hands. She points out the particular location of the bruises and the linear patterns that are very difficult to explain away as accidental. She also emphasizes that these injuries were recent, fresh enough that the redness and swelling still had not begun to turn purple or yellow, which helped her time the trauma to that morning. The state then shifts to Fatima's demeanor during the examination. Dr. Gilbert describes a visibly shaken, anxious, and withdrawn teenager who barely made eye contact and struggled to speak, which matched the trauma she was documenting on the outside. Defense counsel tries to push back, and this is where the day starts heating up. They suggest that some of the marks could have been self-inflicted or the result of Fatima resisting. Dr. Gilbert firmly shoots that theory down, explaining that self-inflicted strangulation marks would look entirely different, and that Fatima's injuries had the hallmark grip pattern of external force. They also bring up the possibility that these injuries could have happened during a scuffle with peers. Again, Dr. Gilbert doesn't budge. These were consistent with adult-level force, not teenage horseplay. The prosecution uses redirect to clarify that her findings are based on both medical science and years of clinical experience with child abuse cases. Dr. Gilbert states unequivocally that the injuries are not accidental, and she classifies the incident as non-accidental trauma caused by another person. With that, Dr. Gilbert is finally excused, and the courtroom pivots to the next witness of the day. And with Dr. Gilbert's medical testimony finally wrapped up, the court pivots from the science of bruises to the people who saw Fatima every day, starting with Timberline High School's mental health specialist, Elizabeth Robinson. She came to court composed but visibly impacted by what she witnessed. On direct exam, Robinson recounted hearing a loud disturbance in the hallway. When she approached, she saw Fatima terrified and crying, and observed a male who she later realized was Fatima's father in the area. She made a snap decision: get Fatima into her office and safe. Robinson told the jury Fatima was shaking, clearly traumatized, and kept saying she just wanted to be safe. She also revealed that the school had been dealing with issues surrounding Fatima's home life for some time. On cross, defense tried to suggest Robinson was biased or had drawn conclusions too quickly, but Robinson didn't flinch. She said, "It is my job to protect students, period." Officer Alisha Howard took the stand with confidence. As the school's assigned SRO, she was one of the first officers on scene that day, and her testimony connected key dots. On direct, she explained that she'd received a call about a disturbance and sprinted toward the area near the bus loop. She saw the altercation breaking up and immediately began separating parties. She described seeing Fatima and her boyfriend Isaiah, both visibly shaken. Court TV jumped in here with commentary, reminding viewers that Howard isn't just a cop, she's someone the students trust. Her body language, tone, and steady answers reinforced that trust with the jury. On cross, the defense tried their usual tactic. Was she sure who struck who first? Howard stood firm. Fatima and Isaiah were not the aggressors, she said. They were victims. Sergeant Jeremy Knight's testimony came in 2 rounds, a proffer and then full examination. Let's talk about that proffer first. Legal nerd moment here, folks. The judge had to decide whether Sergeant Knight's testimony about national law enforcement alerts could come in. After some back and forth, it was ruled admissible. Once Knight was officially on the record, things got real. He explained that after the incident, law enforcement put out alerts through multiple databases. This wasn't just a family matter, it was now a national coordination effort. Court TV pointed out how impactful this was. You could see the prosecution using Knight to establish just how seriously law enforcement viewed the danger to Fatima and Isaiah. They weren't just runaways, they were targets. On cross, the defense asked if law enforcement overreacted. Knight shut that down fast. When someone ignores court orders, shows up at a school, and assaults 2 minors, that's not a misunderstanding, that's a threat. Mic dropped. We close the day with Assistant Principal Celeste Waltermeyer, who might just be the prosecution's unsung hero. Her testimony was raw, detailed, and full of insight into what unfolded that day. She described running toward the noise and seeing Fatima huddled in the hallway with her boyfriend. She said she immediately recognized the father from prior incidents and stepped in to de-escalate, but it was already too late. One moment that stuck out with me, Waltermeyer said Fatima looked like a deer in headlights. She wasn't crying, she was frozen. That is trauma in real time. She walked the jury through what she witnessed, the chaos of trying to protect multiple students, and how staff tried to keep the scene contained while calling 911. Now, normally we'd queue up the cross-examination segment right about here, but that didn't happen. There was no cross-exam on day 6. In fact, Court TV's live coverage ended after the initial portion of her direct, so anything further will pick up on day 7. So for now, we'll leave Celeste Waltermeyer mid-testimony, and we'll see what unfolds when she retakes the stand in the next video. We started with body cam footage that showed the exact moment officers arrived, and ended with the assistant principal recounting hallway chaos and emotional trauma. Every witness built the same narrative brick by brick. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a pattern. Elizabeth Robinson gave us the emotional snapshot. Officer Howard confirmed the on-site facts. Sergeant Knight reminded us this reached federal level urgency. And Waltermeyer she brought the human element home. Let's not forget, this all happened on school grounds, with students watching, with staff reacting, with teenagers trying to feel safe and being hunted instead. And while the defense is doing everything they can to cast doubt on witness perspective, they're now up against layers of consistent testimony from educators and law enforcement. This wasn't chaos. It was a coordination. Witnesses weren't confused. They were protecting students. And as the prosecution nears the end of their case, the jury now has to weigh not just what happened, but why it happened and who they believe. Before I close this out, let's not skip over that extra bit from Dr. Joyce Gilbert earlier in the day. Even though her testimony spilled over from day 5, it was still pretty impactful. Her detailed breakdown of Fatima's injuries, what was consistent with blunt force trauma versus what raised red flags for possible strangulation, really hammered home that kind of damage this girl endured. It set the tone for everything that came after. So yeah, even in its bonus round form, Dr. Gilbert's testimony added weight to an already heavy day. Day 6 was pivotal. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's see what day 7 brings. And that's it for this recap. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching and supporting me. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss any of my recaps. And remember, stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.